topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Florida. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where for the last 16 years, we have brought you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I got to tell you, if you've been listening to the show long enough, I was a sports agent for 15 years, and it actually took me 4 years to find the right money management company. It was a very difficult task because I didn't want to handle my clients' money, but I wanted to make sure that they had the best of the best. And I'm going to tell you, we've been doing this show with Provise Group, Money Management Group, for about 3 years now. And I got to tell you, this is one company that I wish I would have known back when I was a sports agent. Let me introduce you to Ray Ferrara. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Steve. Nice to be with you again. I think we're closing in either on 4.5 or 5 years together, and It's been an absolute delight.
Steve froze, but Ray, how about you tell us about you?
I will do that. Thank you so much. So Provise Management Group is a financial planning and investment management firm with offices in Tampa and Clearwater, Florida. And we're serving about 1,100 clients scattered over 30-some states. And managing somewhere right around $2 billion. We distinguish ourselves by the financial planning that we actually do. A lot of people call themselves financial planners, but really all they are asset gatherers. We actually believe in doing a financial plan. And why do we believe in a plan? Because we know that when you have a plan, the odds of your success are enhanced. It's not that you can't be successful without a plan, but it enhances it. I mean, stop and think. Would you build your house without a set of plans? Would you want your lawyer to go into court without a plan to defend you? Would you want your doctor to go into the operating room without having a plan? They both could be successful without a plan, but the question is, the odds of success are improved. And we always offer a 1-hour complimentary consultation in our Clearwater or Tampa office, and for those that are outside of the Tampa Bay area, certainly by Zoom, for us to answer any questions you have. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about us, you can always go to our website, which is provise.com. That's PROVISE.com. Or if you're ready to set up that consultation, simply give us a call at 727-441-9022. That's 727-441-9022. Steve?
Ray, I got to guess what question everybody has for today's show: the shutdown. What the heck is going on with the shutdown? And they want to know, if this continues for another couple of weeks, what do you feel like the consequences are going to be for the economy?
Well, today is the 20th. Tomorrow will be 3 weeks that the government will have shut down. At the moment, the consequences have been significant, but not overwhelmingly great. But the longer this goes on, the more complicated, the more problematic it is all going to be. And I state the obvious. Let's look at what's happened up to this point. Now, a lot of people would be delighted to know that the IRS is working with a skeleton crew. But for those that are looking to have their tax returns processed, checks coming back, people who have legitimate concerns and questions, they're not very happy about it. I was in Chicago 2 weeks ago, just after the shutdown had started. Steve, I can tell you that on that Tuesday morning, after we last did our show 2 weeks ago, O'Hare and Midway were a mess. And I was flying on Wednesday. And fortunately, I didn't have any problems on Wednesday. But there's kind of been rolling blackouts around the country with air traffic controls. And everybody's getting to the airport earlier than they were before with concerns about flights, et cetera. But the real damage lies in the not too distant future. And while we're talking about airplanes, the air traffic controllers are considered essential workers. And for the most part, they have all showed up and have done a great job during this time without being paid. But we're going to be coming up on the second paycheck very shortly next week that they will not have been paid. And, these are real people with families that depend on them to bring home that bread and butter. And they're going to have to go do something else, whether it's Ubering or working at a grocery store, doing something to make some money. And as that pain ramps up, as it will, the longer this goes on, the more pressure is going to be on the people in Washington to solve the problem. This shutdown is, as I say, so far has been an issue, but it's not been an overwhelming issue, but it is going to become one very shortly. We're not getting any economic data. People are kind of, if you will, driving in the blind in a number of different businesses and in a number of different industries. It will have an economic impact, and most likely it will be with lower consumer spending, number one, people losing their jobs, number two, and number three, it could bring back some additional inflation as a result of all of this. So it's not a positive. There's no reason to panic at the moment. And this too shall pass, but it may not be an easy passing, Steve.
I agree. Ray, with the interest rates coming down, have you seen any figures on new home buyers?
Well, a lot of people are asking that question, Steve, relative to should I be refinancing? So let's look at a few do's and don'ts. The general rule of thumb is if there's a 1% difference, it's almost a slam dunk for you to go through the refinancing. Now, there's some caveats to that. First thing is, if you're not going to be living in your home for more than a couple of years, it may not make sense to refinance because you do have costs when you refinance a home. And you have to amortize those off usually over a 2 or 3 year period of time. And so even though you'll have lower payments, when you think about the money that you spent to do the refinancing, if you don't live in the home long enough, you won't get to a crossover point. So you've got to consider that issue. You also have to think in terms of the term. Let's suppose that you were on a 30-year mortgage and maybe you're 3 years into it now, and you've been paying on the mortgage for the last 3 years. If you try to stretch it out for 30 years for another 30 years as opposed to 27, certainly not only because of the lower interest rate, but because you're now stretching back out for another 30 years, your payments are going to be lower than they were before, but you're going to be paying for a longer period of time, which means you'll be paying more interest. And maybe that isn't really what you want to do. Maybe you should just try to refinance for 27 years, or if there's enough of a reduction, consider a 15-year mortgage, get it paid off, sooner. Your payments might go up a little bit from where they are, but you're shortening the term and you'll be paying less for interest. When you do go to refinance, get proposals from several brokers that are out there, mortgage brokers. It's a competitive business, and they all charge fees, and they charge different fees in different ways. And so you ought to get at least 3 different quotes that you can evaluate and determine which one would be in your best interest. The one thing we don't encourage people to do, however, Steve, is that if your home is almost paid off or in fact paid off, don't go rushing out to get a new mortgage just to kind of put that money in your pocket. It's real nice not to have to send that check to the bank anymore. As an example, the office building in which I sit is something that I own, and we financed it over the years. And last July, we finally paid off the mortgage, and I got to tell you, it feels awful good.
Yeah.
To no longer have that mortgage out there, and certainly with a home, it's even that much better. So 1% is kind of the guideline. Okay, maybe 3/4, but 1% makes it a fairly easy decision with the caveats that I just discussed.
Ray, we don't talk about precious metals very much, but I keep looking at what gold is doing and what's driving up its appeal all of a sudden.
So let's have a little history about gold, a history lesson on gold first. Up until when President Nixon was the president of the United States, which is back in 1972-ish timeframe, gold sold for $35 an ounce, not a penny more or a penny less. And of course, today it's in the $4,300, $4,400 range. So that sounds like a really nice appreciation, and clearly it is. But gold has had significant up and down movement over the years. In the late 80s, when inflation was rampant and interest rates were very high, gold in that short 8-year period of time jumped up to over $800 an ounce. But then it fell down to a few $100s an ounce and stayed there for a long time. And then it jumped up and got into 1,000 and stayed there for a long time and dropped back down. And it's got a very volatile, long period of time. But what's driving it at the moment are a number of different things. The first is a lot of the banks are increasing their gold reserves, and doing that by selling their dollars and buying gold. Banks outside of the United States. And that's put pressure on the dollar, and we've seen the dollar depreciate by about 10% so far this year. If you wanted to go buy something in Europe, as an example, it's going to cost you 10% more today than it would have at the beginning of the year. The next thing that's happening is that inflation has been an issue in several places around the world. Gold is always looked at as a storehouse of value. And the third thing is many governments are buying gold right now and shedding dollars. Most notably, this is true in China, where they're delighted to watch our dollar weaken against their currency, which is also weakened during the course of this year. And then you've got those speculators, those people that think that gold's going to go to the moon, and so they have borrowed heavily and have started to buy into gold. Gold, other than jewelry, really has no commercial value whatsoever. Silver, on the other hand, which has also skyrocketed here in the past few months, and just I believe it was last week set a new record for the cost per ounce. If you ever want, Steve, if you ever have any of that old silverware that you got when you were, married as a young fella many years ago, and no, the kids don't want that silverware anymore. They could care less about it. Now's the time to go turn in that silverware and collect big dollars for it. Silver does have economic value, industrial value in a number of different ways. So speculation is driving the price. Banks and countries selling their dollars and buying gold with those dollars is driving the price up, and some of the banks outside of the United States. So it's a simple law of supply and demand. There's a limited supply, or relatively limited supply of gold. Right now, there's a high demand for gold, and so the price is going up. I wouldn't want to speculate in gold right now, because it's been up 35% now, I think, at this point since the first of the year, and it was up dramatically during the latter part of last year. So be careful if you're going to get into precious metals at this point, with prices as high as they are today, and what has been traditionally a very volatile marketplace in metals.
Ray, we just got a text from Mike in Lutz, Florida. I really enjoy your show. I really trust you. And I want to know do you understand what's going on with this loan to Argentina? Actually, we got a lot of questions like that for you.
Yeah, well, let's just say that the United States provided a significant amount of money to Argentina in exchange for their willingness to provide us with a significant amount of their rare earth minerals, etc. You can call it a good investment, or I guess you could also call it a bribe of sorts. Either way, that's primarily what it is. Argentina, who notoriously is unable to have its money remain stable in any way, shape, or form. I'm not quite sure how they're ever going to pay that loan back, and hence the deal with the trade policy as it relates particularly to the rare earth minerals. So that's kind of what's going on there. I'm sure there are other parts of that deal that exist behind us, but I wouldn't put too much stock in it. It sounds like a lot of money, but as that famous senator once said, $1 billion here, $1 billion there. Next thing you know, you're talking about real money.
I hear you. So, this year the hurricanes have been kind of quiet, and it seems like the insurance companies should be reporting really high profits. Which companies should people look at?
Okay, first thing, I'm not going to recommend any stocks, individual stocks. That's not what we do. We're financial planners. We believe in doing planning and developing a well-diversified portfolio that's tailored to your own individual situation. Second, shame on you, Steve, for bringing up that we haven't had any hurricanes so far this year. And we still have
on wood.
And we still have 6 weeks to go before it's all over. And particularly with you over there on the East Coast in the Miami area.
Yes.
Be careful what you wish for. But it is true
I know.
that we've been blessed in the United States with a relatively mild, and here in Florida, totally mild hurricane season. and therefore the insurance companies not having to pay out massive claims of $8, $9, $10 billion for a hurricane that sweeps across the state. It is going to cause them to have significant profits for this year. But I want to remind people that's not something that the insurance companies can build on year after year after year,
Right.
And feel like they've got those profits will continue every year. In fact, there's an argument to be made that because of the good year that they've had, they may have to lower premiums. That's a concept for us in the upcoming year, because they will have built up their reserves, et cetera, and they won't need as much to prepare for hurricane season next year. Now, maybe I'm dreaming, but that is, a possibility. So, yes, I think there may be a one-time bump up, but don't forget there are other natural disasters that we have to worry about beyond just hurricanes. You can think of the fires that we've had out west, right here in Florida right now. The vast part of the state is in a drought. Those fires can, pop up at any time and cause things to go down. Let me remind everybody, Steve, that we offer a complimentary 1-hour consultation in our Tampa or Clearwater office or by Zoom to any of the listeners here at Ask the Experts. And all they have to do is call our office at 727-441-9022, 441-9022. Simply say you want to set up an appointment with Ray, and the staff will be happy to schedule us together.
And Ray will be back again with us twice next month. Ray, thank you so much. I always enjoy doing your shows. Have a great week.
Steve, stay safe and no hurricanes.
No hurricanes. Thanks, Ray.
See you later.
We're going to go to a short break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.